Thank you. Arigato.
The Your Own Pay Podcast Network, inspiring, motivating, and educating entrepreneurs around the world.
Show notes and more information can be found at yourownpay.com/DM4. This episode of Demasi and Michael is brought to you by the kind folks over at Smile. Textexpander, the one resource both Demasi and I can't live without. Head on over to this week's show notes at yourownpay.com/DM4. Get access to a 20% discount on your first year. You're also going to show support for the Your Own Pay Podcast Network.
It's Demasi and Michael, just talking tech.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Demasi Thomas, and welcome to this week's installment of the DM Show. It's Demasi and Michael, just talking tech. The show notes for this episode can be found at yourownpay.com/DM4. And of course, with me this week is the man behind the Your Own Pay Podcast Network, Michael Babcock. What's up, Mike?
Not much, Demasi. How you doing this morning?
Doing great. Just want to let everybody know before we get started, you can follow us on Twitter. I am at Demasi. That's DAMASHE. And Michael is at, of course,
Payon, PAYOWN.
So for this episode, folks, we want to talk to you about automating your social media posting. And we're going to get into a couple of different tools that we use and also let you know a couple of reasons why you may want to figure out a way to make this work for you. I'm going to let Mike kind of lead you into why automating your social media posting is a good idea, because Michael is the marketer amongst the two of us. So Mike, give people a few reasons why automating your social media is a good thing.
Oh, and I love it. Well, not necessarily for the circumstances that it's become an issue, but I love the fact that we're able to automate our postings for getting in front of our fans. Now, Demasi called me a marketer, which I have no problem with that, but I like to call myself a businessman because I realize that being able to be in front of everyone is what I need to do, but not spending all day long trying to get in front of everyone is what I also need to do. My wife's grandfather was recently diagnosed with cancer, and she needs to spend more time with him. As we all know, we're never guaranteed tomorrow on this earth. And so being able to have the freedom to still get the message, the content, the material that you know your followers want. For example, these podcasts are going to be scheduled into social media tools, and we'll talk about some of those in the near future, but I won't be sitting in front of my computer posting those social media posts. I mean, we could be down in California visiting my wife's grandpa and still being able to have a social media presence. So the primary reason why I recommend people look into leveraging tools to automate their social media is because you're not sitting in front of your computer or on your phone all day long posting those. You're doing what you ultimately started to be in business for, and that is experiencing the freedom owning your own business can provide you.
Absolutely. And one thing about being a business owner is you absolutely need to maximize your time. You need to make your time as effective as possible. So as Mike said, spending time in front of your computer, periodically jumping in and out of Twitter, Facebook to post something is wasting your time. Let's talk about a couple of the tools that we've tried out, Mike. Now, I have used Buffer. Actually, Buffer is the only social automation tool that I've used. So I'll give you a little bit of background about Buffer. Buffer schedules your posts, and it covers pretty much all the major social networks at this point. Twitter, Facebook pages. So you also can post to a Facebook page as well as your personal Facebook account. Just a FYI, if you started using Facebook a long time ago for your business, before they offer pages, you need to switch over to a page from a personal account for your business because it does not look good. Pretty sure Michael would agree with that.
Facebook will shut you down if you keep using your profile. I've seen it happen to way too many people. Switch it over to a page now.
Also, Buffer will allow you to publish over to Google Plus pages. They do not have personal profiles set up as of yet. They keep saying it's coming. I have no idea what the holdup is there, possibly Google. And it also allows you to schedule posts to Instagram. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't use Instagram at all, so I can't discuss anything about the Instagram features that Buffer offers. But essentially what Buffer will allow you to do is schedule your posts, and you can schedule them out for quite a while. The free account is fairly comprehensible. You can at least cover one of each of all the major networks for about $10 a month, or I believe it's $100 a year if you pay it all up front. You get up to 10 social accounts that you can use. And essentially, say, like Mike said with the podcast, for example, well, Mike tells me the episode is up and I already have the link. I know what the link's going to be. It's going to be yourownpay.com/DM4, for example, for this episode. I can go ahead and write up something nice, schedule it in Buffer to post to my Facebook account, to post to my Twitter account, and walk away. And it'll post, Tuesday afternoon after the show is actually live. I could do that today. Schedule it and have it post on the day at the time that I wanted to post. And I don't have to worry about it. The only thing I have to deal with is the feedback. So I'll get notifications if somebody retweets it or mentions me or likes the tweet or post on my Facebook post. But other than that, the scheduling part of this, the marketing, the getting out in front of people, as Mike says, the important part of it is already done, and I can move on to doing something else, whether it's in Michael's unfortunate situation where they're having to spend time with a sick family member, or if it's, doing something enjoyable like spending time with your kids.
Exactly. And the beautiful thing about Buffer that I really love is if you listen to last week's episode, we talked all about automation and tools you can use to leverage other tools and put the internet to work for you, to use one of the tools we mentioned, IFTTT's tagline. And one of the things that I've done, and I've recently implemented this because we've rebuilt the yourownpay.com website, is I implemented the RSS to Buffer IFTTT. So anytime I post to the blog, it automatically adds it to my Buffer, which means that it will go out based on the schedule that I'm set up for on those particular social media sites. I've been described Twitter as the river social media. You jump into Twitter, you see what's going on, and then you jump out, which means that as a marketer or as a business owner, you need to be on Twitter often more than you need to be on Facebook or LinkedIn or possibly Google+. I haven't used Google+, so I'm not familiar with it. That means that you might want to post 3 tweets per hour on your Twitter account, but only one Facebook post every 6 hours on your Facebook page. Don't quote me on those time frames, but that might be a scenario that you would be finding yourself in. And Buffer will allow you to automate that simply because you can say post 3 times to my Twitter account and 1 time to my Facebook account. So that's 2 ways that I'm using Buffer. The other tool that I love, and I don't know if you've used it at all, Demasi, is Hootsuite. Have you played with that yet?
Not at all. I tried Hootsuite out a few years back, and at the time, it wasn't a tool that fit my particular needs. And honestly, I didn't really know why I needed this thing. So I left it alone and haven't looked at it since then. So tell us about Hootsuite.
Hootsuite and I have a love-hate relationship, and I really should get an affiliate link for them before the show notes go live so I can post it up there so people can understand what I'm talking about. The thing about Hootsuite is their iOS app in the past was not the best when it comes to accessibility. But now I can use Hootsuite very efficiently to browse multiple Twitter accounts. That's primarily what I'm using it for, is I'm managing a client's Twitter account, I'm managing my Twitter account, and then I'm managing my, I'm not managing it, I'm monitoring my younger brother's Twitter account. And so, Hootsuite will let you connect all your social media. It does the scheduling to Instagram as well. And it's very, as I said, user-friendly on iOS. You can go in and set up automated scheduling, which is great. But more importantly, you have what Hootsuite calls streams. So what you can do in streams is you can say, I want to follow hashtag YOPcast. As any longtime listener knows, that's a hashtag I use when I'm referencing anything to do with the Your Own Pay podcast. What that will do is it will monitor across all social media, not just Twitter, but I can set it to monitor Facebook and Instagram. And I can go into my streams tab, double tap or single tap if you're not using VoiceOver on the hashtag YLPcast stream, and it will pull all social media content using that hashtag, which is very handy for monitoring what people are talking about. And you can also use it to monitor what your competitors are doing.
Exactly. That sounds like a pretty neat idea. Now, one question I have about that, because that is a feature that you do not have with Buffer. With the streams, are you able to say if you're following the hashtag YOPcast, for example, and you see a nice tweet with that hashtag or a nice Facebook post with that hashtag, are you able to pull that into your social media post and just automatically retweet that or repost that on your Facebook?
Yes, you are. And you can also schedule it. I don't remember if I mentioned it, but Hootsuite offers a optimum posting schedule. They analyze your social media that you're connected to and that you're posting to. And they say, hey, most of your users are engaging with your post between noon and 3 p.m. Let's post this posting because we set it to optimum post post between those times, and hopefully that'll be the time that you get the most engagement, which I haven't played with that feature as much as I should, but the times that I do, it does seem like my engagement's going up. I definitely need to start tracking that more.
Oh, that is nice. And it sounds like both tools, including Buffer and Hootsuite, both offer some nice analytics. Sound like Hootsuite has a little advantage there with the optimal posting time. Buffer will show you your analytics and show you, how many clicks you got, how many impressions you had, how many likes, etc. across your networks. But it sounds like Hootsuite has some other features that could be extremely useful in tracking when is the best time to post and when you're getting the most engagement from your audience. As Mike said, you do not, necessarily need to post on Facebook or LinkedIn as much as Twitter, because he's right. Twitter is the river. It is the Mississippi River, just on full blast, and you jump in and you find out what's going on and you jump out. There are not very many people who are going to scroll back through their Twitter timeline to see what happened 2 hours ago. So you definitely need to have more postings going up on Twitter throughout the day, and check your analytics regardless of which tool you choose to use, and see how many impressions you're getting, how much engagement you actually have. And, do a little tweaking. Mike gave you a suggested schedule. You may want to try that one to see how it works. 3 times to Twitter in an hour, and, once every 6 hours to Facebook, and see how it works. If it doesn't, you're not getting the engagement you want, you can always tweak these things. And that's a nice thing about these tools is, one, you're not sitting there on a dashboard tracking what Twitter says and then flipping to Facebook and seeing what Facebook says. You get it all in one interface. You find out your impressions, you find out optimal times to post, and you can tweak your scheduling as needed.
Demasi, things came to mind when you were talking about that. Number one, I don't know if you knew about this, but if you go into Buffer and you go to scheduling, you can tell Buffer, I want you to optimize my schedule for the best 4 or 5 or 10 posts per day. I don't know how accurate that is, but they do offer that optimum schedule posting time.
So that's something that I actually missed in Buffer then. I started using Buffer, and I probably started using it maybe before they implemented that into the iOS app. And honestly, they sort of like Hootsuite, as you mentioned with Hootsuite, initially had some voiceover accessibility issues on iOS with the Buffer app. Glad to say that it's greatly improved, and I will take a look at this optimal posting over there, because that could be helpful. Racking my brain trying to figure out when to schedule stuff.
Definitely. Now, I got one other tool that I want to mention when it comes to social media automation, and it's something that I don't think a lot of people realize, and I don't use it as much as I should be using it, though I'll go ahead and publish a video in the show notes over at yourownpay.com/DM4. That is automating with the social media platform itself. I don't think a lot of people realize that you can actually go into your Twitter ads account and schedule tweets to go out. Now, they don't have to be promoted tweets, but you can go in and schedule them to go out from ads.twitter.com. You can go into your Facebook Business Manager and you can schedule posts to come out to your Facebook page directly within your Facebook page's Business Manager. Or I say Business Manager and Pages Manager are actually two totally different things, but they're kind of similar. So you can go in and manage your page and schedule out your postings. You can also do that from the iOS Facebook Pages application. Scheduling on YouTube. If you connect your YouTube account to a Google AdSense account, so you enable your YouTube account for monetization, so those advertisements can be played before your videos. Be aware, you don't have to play those advertisements before your videos, but you do have to be connected to a Google AdSense account. Once you've done this, a new option in your posting status section on the upload page becomes available. Normally you have public, unlisted, and private, but now a fourth option will be available that says scheduled. You'll upload your video and then you enter the time you want the video to go live. It will post to your account as an unlisted video, and then at the time it's supposed to go live, which you can only make it live at the top of the hour or the half hour, at the time that it is scheduled to go live, your video will be changed from unlisted to public, and it will become live on your YouTube account. So that's my last automation, is look at the social media you're on already and see if you can automate it natively within their platform if you don't need any of these fancy third-party tools.
Think about this. You have your YouTube video go live. Now, if you have connected IFTTT to your YouTube channel, you can automatically have it Facebook post or tweet or even publish a blog post over on WordPress with your video. So Some nice automation tips there. I did not know about that for YouTube. I was aware of the Facebook pages idea, and I wasn't aware of that with Twitter either. So some good tools there, and definitely I would check those out. Check out, as Mike said, take a look at the platform that you're using or the platforms that you're using for social media and see what they offer as tools as well. You know, as Mike said, in case you don't need these fancy pants analytic scheduling platforms like Buffer and Hootsuite, or if you just want to dip your toe in and see how it works, taking a look at where you're at is sometimes a good place to start. All right, so that's going to wrap us up for this week with automating your social media platforms. Go over and check out the show notes. They're at yourownpay.com/DM4. Leave a comment if you have any feedback, and we'll definitely take that into account in the future episodes. Ask any questions that you have, or just give us some feedback. And of course, follow us on Twitter. I am at Damashe, Damashe.
And I'm at Payon.
You've been listening to Your Own Pay Podcast. If you've enjoyed today's episode, visit yourownpay.com/cast for exclusive content and to contact us today. We're eager to hear your thoughts and about how you're making this podcast your own. Thanks for listening. We'll be back soon. The Your Own Pay Podcast, yourownpay.com.